G'day traders, 1 minute mindset reset, probably again longer than a minute. Today we're talking about when the penny drops. So two things. One, trader asked me if my screenshots of those trades are my analysis, just my analysis, or if they're the actual trades that I have taken. Now I specifically say right on the trades, the ones that I have taken. When it's an example of a best trade setup, I specifically say that on those trade setups. But I want to emphasize the importance of those trade setups. One in particular that this trader commented on, the S&P short at the London Open. That trade setup alone, they're all very similar, but those shorting setups alone can generate more than 6 figures a year. When you understand the power of scaling trades up in size and that they repeat, they're duplicatable, and that your process is the same in being able to identify setups. Now that's completely different than analysis. It's like being in a foreign country where they don't speak the same language as you and you're asking for directions. They don't understand what you're saying, and you don't understand what they're saying. And we're talking in two different languages. And I know there's traders that really hate when I say you're thinking like a retail trader, but you are. When you go to the screen and you're looking and you're going, you don't think that you are, but really in your process you are. You're going to the screen hoping to catch a move. And that's completely different than being able to take a process and say, these three pairs match up with one of my setups. And now I'm going and looking at those three pairs to see which one I think is the best candidate for executing that trade setup at a very specific time, at a level, based on certain criteria. Now I talk about 50s, double zeros. I talk about specifically London and New York equity hour opens. I talk about 3 levels of rise and fall. I talk about day 1, day 2, day 3. All of the pieces of the puzzle are there. Now, here's the other thing to consider. One of my mentors showed me, he asked me and said, how are you ever going to make real money by going there and just trading? And that's the difference in the mindset. The retail trader goes to the screen hoping to get pips. Now, here's what this mentor, he made over $700,000 on a trade, first red day. Now, here's a question. Instead of getting 100 pips, figure out how you can make 100,000. And I'm not talking about over leveraging, over risking, over trading. I'm talking about what setup, when grown and scaled gradually with your expertise and your account size, which one setup can generate a 6-figure day? Which setups, when they're done repeatedly, generate 6 figures just because of their duplication and their scalability of the trade setup itself? So going there and saying, I got 100 pips and I got 40 pips and I got this and I got that, and next week you're down 75 or you over leverage, and because there's no consistency, there's no process. You're going there to trade the moves. That's the difference. That's the language. That's the shift in mindset that has to occur. And that's my perspective. So I know there's traders out there, there's always one or two who don't like what I say. They send me shit in the emails and everything else. It's like, why are you following me then? There's one reason why you're following me, because what I'm telling you is the truth. So if you don't think it's the truth, then flip off to another channel. There's a lot of live YouTube channels out there. People say, why don't you do it live? It's not about me. That's the thing. If you're coming here to watch me trade, then you're at the wrong channel. There's a lot of trade channels that you can go watch trade live. The reason why you're here, if you're serious, is because I'm showing you a real, live, duplicatable process to generate 6 and 7 figures a year. if you understand the process, the patience, the discipline to only execute those. And see, that's where the shift in mindset occurs, to where I'm going there only to execute setups, not to trade moves in the market. So I think that's where traders come here and they go, well, show me how to do that live. Okay, which setup? Do you want me to take this setup live today and then spend an hour explaining to you why that whole setup builds and shows up? Should I take that hour of my time and do that for you? Why is that? Why should I do that? Why don't you do your homework if you're serious about being a trader? So that's the other shift in mindset. What are you here for? Is it a hobby? You just want to see that, can he really do it, or is he full of shit? Is he full of shit like the other gurus? Here's a better question. Here's the actual setup. Now, go find a pair. If it's a sell setup, go find a pair that's going up into the open of a session to see if that sell setup eventuates at the London Open. Or if it goes down to the low of the day or to major round numbers when London opens or when New York opens. Or if at 9:30 New York, the oil market opens at the high of the day after 3 levels of rise with a pin hammer. So these are simple things that will show up over and over again, except that there's traders going there and they're looking to trade one instrument, or they're focused on 10 instruments. And so because they're looking at 10 instruments, they can't even see what's going on. They don't even have an idea because they're looking to trade a move. Which one's moving? Which one should I trade? Now there's a scene in the movie Patch Adams, and he says, how many fingers am I holding up? How many fingers am I holding up? And he says, 5. No. He goes, how many fingers am I holding up? And he looks again. And the question I have for you is, how many fingers are you holding up? What is it that you're seeing? Because I'm seeing different things. I'm speaking a different language. So analysis is, I think it's doing this and I think it's going to do that. I don't care. I don't care about any of that. As I've said, I'd rather take one 25 pip blow-off move than sit there for 3 hours in a market that's auctioning back and forth. I could tell you this. If you only traded gold off of 50s and zeros at the high and the low of the day, that system alone at London and New York, if you could only trade off of 50s and zeros, that alone would probably make you money if you could be consistent and stick to the process. So, and that's just a generic 50-0 system. I'm just saying, like, there's not even any rules there. Like, so setups. And then it's not about just taking all your setups. It's about which ones can I actually make money from? Like, which ones can I make money from that are going to show up again and again and again? So these are the things, like, you want to make 700K in a day? We'll figure out. It's not about getting lucky. It's not about, just loading up on a market that's going to move. It's about having a process and knowing when that market is going to move and keep moving and not come back. And even if it's a scalp, again, go back to the risk management, 1 star, 3 star, 5 star. There's a reason why things are 1 star. If I'm down and it's a guaranteed 25 to 50 pips, but I'm on level 3 and we're at the low of the day or the low of the week, well, that's probably a 1 star, because I'm going to take the trade. I'm going to put a certain amount of size on it, but I know that I'm at the low, down low. If I'm up high and there's 3 days of trap volume and it's the first red day and this thing could fall 100 pips straight down, but I know that they've got 3 days of volume trapped, then that's a 5 star, because that's maybe going to be a seriously heavily loaded setup. My choice, my decision. Still got the same risk control, but this trade has the potential to drop like a rock. Those are the sort of things that you need to have. Then you're not going there. The template is what allows you to identify the days, the setups, when your best candidates are for larger size, or are these session scalps, or do we have an opportunity that's set up? Today's a session scalp. Tomorrow could be a 5-star setup. That's the sort of thinking that needs to be occurring. So analysis is what creates analysis paralysis. Analysis is what creates 50-50 results. Analysis is 50-50. A setup is a 90-10, 90% probability that my trade setup is going to complete the pattern. Okay, now here's something else. The setup, I know there's people going to say, oh, your setups are all 50-50. Okay, then go and do your homework. Figure out which ones are 90-10. Do your homework. Figure out which ones are 90-10. The setup, if it's 90-10, and I'm in that trade, there's a high probability that I can be wrong, except that even when I'm wrong, I can still get out with A, no loss, B, a small profit, or C, I get stopped out. Because if I short the market and my target is 50 pips and it gets down 40 and it starts jamming into the low and it hasn't hit my target, well, there's your first clue that you should be at break even if it's a capitulation style trade setup. Or 2, get out with whatever the market's giving you. Or 3, walk away and take the loss or the profit. One of the 3. So, again, there's it's as complicated and difficult as you want, but the things that I have learned, I'm sharing. And, you know, I'm not here to debate. I'm not here looking for other things to add in. People want me to add in, I get stuff about adding other stuff in. Why do I want to add stuff in? I'm taking pips out. I'm taking money out. I can do that rinse and repeat over and over and over again. I can grow it in size. Why do I want to add stuff to that? Another thing for what? So I can get another variable into my equation? I don't want that. So analysis paralysis comes from when you've got a lot of variables. Fear comes from uncertainty. Uncertainty comes from lack of certainty in having an actual executable plan. And that's what creates stress. Uncertainty is what creates stress. Create certainty. Create a process that has certainty. Create setups that have certainty. Certainty in your ability to execute. Certainty in the duplication and reproducibility of your process and your execution. The outcomes are random. But if you get 8 out of 10 or 9 out of 10 or 10 out of 10, which, you know what? 10 out of 10 is doable. I don't care what people tell you. 10 out of 10 trades aren't necessarily doable because 10 out of 10 going to the screen taking 10 trades is completely uncertain. But taking 10 trading setups and having 10 profitable trades is completely doable. Analysis is, you can analyze till the cows come home. I want to know how can I make money and how can I scale it up? How can I make even more money the next time that same setup shows up? Where could I have actually added size in? If I had a losing trade, why did I lose? What, I'm going to tell you what, if you stick to the plan and the process, you're going to have very few losers. That's the truth. I know traders don't like that, but those are traders who are trading the market. Go there and trade setups. Usually the only time you're going to blow out on a setup is when you get in too early. It wasn't actually the right setup, or you traded too much size on the wrong setup. So hopefully that helps. Have a great weekend. Peel back the onion a bit more, get more specific on what the best setups are for you to make money on, and then execute next week. We've had the most incredible week. And actually every single week's only been getting better, mind-blowingly enough. Enjoy your weekend, and may the markets go with you.